Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to Football Manager 2019 with Zebu Nation. We're back with FC Cincinnati, and today we're going to have the final video of the 2019 season. This is the capstone video that I like to call the off-season spectacular. And in MLS, the off-season is essentially December and January. So we're going to go through in this video everything that's happened in December. Then we're going to go through, just going to move a little bit forward in time to look at the youth intake, because the youth intake has been moved in FM19 from December 25th, which is where it was in FM18, and it's been moved to January 1st. So we'll get to that. That will roll over to the new season, and we'll discuss a little bit about the new season maybe. But then we're going to end it there and have a MLS Super Draft Spectacular in another video. So don't worry if you don't see the Super Draft in this video, it'll be coming in another video, and then we'll get on to the preseason and all that stuff for next season down the road. But for now, we're basically focusing on the month of December, which means the waiver draft and the re-entry draft, and, of course, the MLS Cup. Who won the Cup? We don't know because we got knocked out of the playoffs. So let's check that first. Let's take a look at the competitions. Now, of course, we got knocked out by Atlanta United in spectacular fashion, and they did the same thing, if not worse, to New England in the Eastern Conference Final. They beat them 5-1 in aggregate. It looks like they lost 1-0 away to New England and then came back home and crushed them even worse than they crushed us. They beat us 5-3, beat New England 5-0. So Atlanta was rolling, as we saw, and of course they went on and won the MLS Cup over LA Galaxy 2-0. So they dominated the league. They won the Triple Crown this year. They won the US Cup. They won the Supporters Shield, and they have won the MLS Cup. So, hats off to Atlanta. They were just a dominant team this year. You had to give it to them. Now, we can take a look at some award winners real quick. Take a look, first off, Goalkeeper of the Year. Of course, Kiko from Atlanta wins it. And that's going to be a little bit of a trend with these awards. You're going to see a lot of Atlanta United players. Bendik from LAFC, Piedrahita from New England came in there as well. Let's look at some of the other interesting awards. Defender of the Year, Perez from Atlanta United. Of course, he wins it. Another Atlanta United player, Mabiala, and Farrell from New England comes in second and third. Rookie of the Year, look at this. Jeff DeVries, our man. Only 18 games played this year after the horrific injury that he suffered in training. He still managed to win the award. A lot of teams don't play rookies as extensively as we do. So even though he played, 10 less games than these other guys, he still had the stats to win him the award, and that's good. The Landon Donovan MVP award goes to Luciano Acosta. That's an interesting choice. 10 goals, 11 assists. So it's a very balanced stat line. 7.17 rating is also pretty good. Martinez from Houston. And look at this guy. We know this guy. Kasper Przybylko from Atlanta. He scored a ton of goals on us. I like to think that we helped him, boost his ratings to get to this award level. But hey, we couldn't win it for him, unfortunately. Sorry. If you'd have played us a couple more times this year, maybe he would have won it. Anyway, best 11, this is ridiculous. Look at all these Atlanta jerseys out here. Przybylko made the best 11. Barco, Diego, Remedi, Perez, Escobar, and Kiko in goal. All Atlanta United players. Dom Dwyer joins them. Cerna and Schoberg from Colorado. And then finally, Jonathan Dos Santos from L.A. rounds out the best 11. So we didn't get anybody on the best 11, but c'est la vie. Coach of the Year, Brad Friedel from New England. That's an interesting choice. 57% win ratio. They had a very good season, no doubt about it. They made it to the Eastern Conference Finals. That's pretty good. Bruce Arena comes in second. The dominant season that Atlanta United had, 66% win ratio. That's outrageous. And for his first season with Atlanta United to do this to the league, it's a pretty bold statement. And then third place, look at this handsome character here, cartoonish good looks that he has, Zebu Nation of Cincinnati, 45% winning percentage, 66 goals, 65 goals allowed. That seems like a lot of goals allowed. We'll talk about that later. Anything else of interest here? Oh, Golden Boot. No, that's newcomer of the year. Diego from Atlanta United, of course. Who else would that be? Golden Boot. Dom Dwyer wins it from Orlando City. 23 goals on the season. Second is Rodriguez from Minnesota with also 23 goals. Why one over the other? I don't know. And then third place, it's this guy again, Przybylko. 22 goals, so one shy of the other guys. And there we go. There's most of the awards that are worthwhile to look at. All right. So now we'll have to take a look at our team, our squad. And we'll do it, I suppose, by going down the checklist. So we'll look at the academy to start out with. And we'll do this prior to our youth intake so you can kind of see where we're at as an academy and see what we get as a youth intake. Just sort of compare and contrast. So our number one prospect in the academy right now is Lloyd Correa, 2-star, 4-star potential striker. He looks okay. He's got decent physicals, nice acceleration, decent, mentals are not good, but I don't know, he could get better, I guess. Same with technicals. Not great, but he could get better. He does have 14 techniques, so that's something to build on. But at 17 years old, something's got to happen for this guy to have him start reaching that potential. Because the way he looks right now as our best prospect, I'm not real thrilled. Then it just kind of goes downhill from there. Garza, central defender, not strong, not much jumping reach, 5'10". I mean, this guy's not a central defender. He's not an MLS central defender, let's put it that way. Maybe he could be retrained as a defensive midfielder, but at 17 years old, only 1.5 stars. We're looking bad. Ruben Coelho, another 17-year-old, another striker, another guy who's just sort of okay. He's got 15 heading, 15 technique, which is nice. But other than that, he doesn't have a lot going for him, and then it's sort of downhill from there. So, and it's all 17-year-olds. We got one 18-year-old, and he's the guy we loaned back down, Perez. So the academy needs some help, and it needs, weird to say this, but our academy needs a youth intake very badly because we got all 17-year-olds. It's pretty wild. So we got some work to do academy-wise. Finances, we're looking fine, although we have dropped below $7 million for the first time. $6.95 million in the bank. So, it's not great. We hit a little dip there at the end of the season, but we're going to get our MLS money, once the season starts. So that'll put us another $3 million up, so we'll be back up to probably $10 million, and that'll be fine. That's more than enough, more than what we need. So we're looking good. Board-wise, wait. Finances. League specific. We got to look at that. That's more important. So salary cap. We got $1.3 million of cap space available. That's a lot of cap space. We'll be able to, make a big signing. At least one or maybe two or maybe 10, the way that I sign players. Who knows? But we got a lot of room in the cap right now. Got a lot of general allocation money, $875,000. That's really good. And then targeted allocation, we got $1.6 million. So again, we could bring in a big salary guy and buy him down to a not even designated. And speaking of designated contracts, we have one slot available. So the way our finances are looking right now, we could bring in a designated player, a young designated player, a guy 23 or under. And then we could bring in another guy of the same quality, but just give him a lot of cash to come here. Instead of giving him a designated player contract, We'll just say, here's a bunch of cash. Have fun. So we definitely have some options when it comes to signing big impact players. The only question is, the same question it always is in MLS, is can you actually make the signing? I have a problem making big signings. It just, transfer market doesn't work for me. So we'll see what I can do. I don't know. Board-wise, let's move on with the list. We are untouchable with the board after our amazing season, 78%. Haven't seen what they're going to want us to do next year, but I assume they're going to want us to make the playoffs again next year. So in Season 2, the pressure is going to be ratcheted up. We're going to go from just don't finish last to, oh my God, you better finish in the playoffs or you're fired. Like, that happens all the time when I play these saves, so it's something I'm used to, but it's something I still don't like particularly. We got our improved training facilities coming around. They're going to be completed in June of next year, so we got quite a while to wait for that. And then we've got a new stadium coming in as well. We'll take a look at the club and see that. Look at our reputation. Our reputation is bounced up to where the rest of the league is at 3 stars. Now, it takes a lot for an MLS club to get more than 3 stars. In one of my previous saves, it took me like 15 years and like winning the Champions League and all that stuff, getting to the what's the World Club Championship or whatever. It took me doing all of that, as well as winning MLS and winning cups and all that stuff. It took me doing all that just to gain a half star. So it's very hard to get a higher reputation than 3 stars in MLS. But maybe eventually we'll get there. We got to 3 stars pretty quickly, so we'll see what's going on there. Not much else we can look at here. Of course, Richie Salvador is our hot prospect. Akechi is our key player. Currently no vice captain. Akugo is still our captain, and I'm still the coach. When it comes to affiliates, here it says here, due to move into 25,000 capacity FC Cincinnati Stadium in 1/1/2021. So we still have 2 more seasons before we move into our new facility, so that's fine. We're going to keep improving the facilities in the meantime, just so we can have better training and not have our guys lose so much abilities. Now, big stuff, big time, transfers. Transfer window is open. The waiver draft has happened, and the re-entry draft has happened. So we got a lot of stuff to look at here for transfers. Now, here we go. We got a couple of possibilities coming in. We got a new coach on the way, Kevin Hunt. You may be familiar with this name. He is a scout Englishman, 44 years old, previously at Liverpool, before that Man City. So he's got a bit of a track record. Got pretty good stats, or pretty good attributes as well. Adaptability 16, determination 14, discipline 13. I don't know if discipline comes into it, but it can't hurt. And then judging player ability and potential 14. So this guy he's a step in the right direction in terms of getting better scouts on the club. Most of our guys have like 9s and 10s. So to get a guy with 14s in both spots is pretty good. Maybe for Premier League, he's like a lower end scout, but for us, he'll do a world of good. He'll give us a little bit more knowledge over in England as well, which could also help out. Then we got a flyer of a bid over in Dortmund for Jeremy Toljan. We've offered him 1.5 million, and they haven't said no. They were asking 3.8 for a guy who's worth like 7.5 because he's unhappy. He wants out. But he's a fullback, wingback, can play left or right. Really good speed, like 18 speed is pretty amazing for a fullback. The rest of his stats or his attributes are good, but not necessarily mind-blowing or anything like that. So he's physically very good. The rest of it is just sort of okay. I don't know if he's really worth 7.75 million. Probably when we get him here in the MLS, he'll be worth like 5 million or less. But we'll see. We'll see. It's still very much up in the air whether this guy is going to come over here or not. Then we'll get to the transfer history. How about this? So we still got this season's transfers on here. You can see all of our drafts, all of our millions and millions and millions of draft picks we had this year. Here's our final move of last year when we picked up Sonora in the allocation whatever thing. And the only move we made this year was, look at this. Look who we picked up. We picked up that guy, that man, Kasper Przybylko, the guy who crushed us in the playoffs from Atlanta United. 26-year-old from Poland, valued at $6 million, 4-star player. He's a target man. I don't know what to say about that. We already have a target man, as you may or may not be aware of. Adi. He's a slightly better Adi, is what this guy is. He's got a lot of the same stats, a lot of the same attributes, just slightly better. So we've talked him into a rotational contract. How he's going to deal with that for the next year, I don't know, but we'll see. Adi is 29. He's 26, so this is basically Adi's replacement coming in. But I don't know. We'll see how that dynamic works for these two players. I don't normally like to double up in this way. It usually adds to roster problems, or usually adds up to roster problems. We'll see. We know Adi is a very good player. He played well for us at times. He was dominant for us at times. But he also, was invisible for large stretches of the season. So if we can have Przybylko come in there and light a fire under Adi or replace Adi or whatever, I don't know. But more competition at these positions, especially striker. My style of play, I have to have a striker who scores goals. If you don't score goals, we're going to find somebody who does. And so that's what this move is all about. So there we go. That was our one draft pick. He was via the, let's take a look here, history, via the December waiver draft. So we did not pick anybody in the re-entry draft this year. So we're going to calm down on that kind of stuff. Last year you watched me sort of take advantage of all the waiver drafts and all that stuff to pick up all these veteran players. This year we're going to calm down on that, but we're going to go haywire in another way, and we'll take a look at the trades to show you exactly how we're going to go haywire. So here's the last move that we made last season. We traded Higuita to NYFC for first-round pick and some targeted allocation money. This year, we had some comments in the comment section. One of the guys who's been following me for a couple years now, Mr. Exo Warrior. Yeah, he mentioned that our defense is not good enough. Like, they're backup quality, not starting quality. And I tend to agree with him. So I tend to get rid of everybody that I can possibly get rid of. And once I start getting rid of people, it doesn't stop. I get that trading bug. So that's what we've done. We've gotten rid of our whole defense, plus a few other players. And it's going to be an interesting season when it comes to defenders next year. So first off, Nick Beasler, gone. Traded him to New York for a first-round pick in the 2022 draft. So we're stocking up on future draft picks. Then starting defender for most of the season, Richie Marquez, gone to Montreal Impact. We're getting the 3rd overall pick in the first round from Montreal and the 3rd overall pick in the 3rd round of this year's draft. So that's a pretty high-quality, high-value pick right there. Top 3 pick, we're going to get a really good player. Then we traded Harry Shipp, a guy that we just kind of picked up on a whim, just because we could, basically. And we picked him up as an asset, honestly. I mean, he didn't even play for us. He played like one game, basically, for us, because he was injured most of the year. But this is why we picked him up as an asset. We're able to flip him to LAFC for the 11th pick in the first round and a 2nd round pick next year. So again, top 11 pick this year and stocking up next year. So more draft picks. And then Miller. on paper, I thought he was a good player. I thought he was a very good defensive player with a little bit of offensive ability. But he was a yellow card machine. He had like a 5.0 rating in the Eastern Conference playoffs. He was just not good. So Real Salt Lake came in with a trade offer of the 2nd overall pick in the Super Draft in the first round, and a 3rd round pick as well, the 9th pick in the 3rd round for Miller and $80,000 in general allocation. I can't pass up a top 2 pick. It's just not in my nature to pass that up. So we now have the number 2 and number 3 draft picks in the Super Draft. And this is what you're going to see from me this year and probably next year, is you're going to see me, instead of cheesing the waiver drafts, I'm going to be cheesing the Super Draft, because I love the Super Draft. It it reminds me of home. What can I say? I just like it. I can't help it. So, take a look at our draft allocations for this year. It's out of control. We have the number 2 pick in the first round, number 3 pick, number 11 pick, number 17 pick, all in the first round. Then we have the 17th pick in the 2nd round, 1st pick in the 3rd round, 3rd pick in the 3rd round, and 9th pick in the 3rd round. That's a lot. That's a lot of draft picks. We're not going to use them all, so I'm going to trade them. And sort of the life cycle of MLS that I've come to find is that you bring in a player, you trade him for draft picks, you trade those draft picks for general allocation money or targeted allocation money, and then you use that money to go out and get more players, right? So it sort of takes that life cycle, and then you trade the players for more picks, and you trade the picks for more money, and so on, and you sort of feed the beast. Now, in the meantime, we are going to use several of these picks, especially the high first-round picks, but I'm going to get rid of a few of them, and maybe we'll look through that process a little bit later in terms of what sort of value you can offer and what sort of value you can get for these picks. But for now, we got a lot of picks this year. We got a lot of picks next year. We got 5 first-round picks next year, which, again, is too many, and then 2 seconds and a 4th as well. So we're going to be stocked up on young players for the foreseeable future, and that's just how it's going to go. Let's see. Anything else we need to look at in particular? Staff. We got some holes in the staff. We're going to add some new players, or add some new coaches and some new team members. You saw one there that we're going to add, and we're going to add a few more. A couple guys' contracts are running out, and we're going to look to improve the club, basically, and just get a few better coaches, a few better scouts, and we're going to actually get some sports scientists in. I don't know what sports scientists do, if they really help or not, but we didn't have any last year. I kind of forgot to add them. So we did have a few injuries, maybe more than I thought we should, so maybe having the sports scientists will help us with that. Okay, is there anything else? I don't think so. I think everything else is good. In terms of roster, we got pretty much everybody coming back. We're going to go with a young defense. So we're going to go with Nuhu, Richards, Justin Glad, and then we need a right back. We don't have a right back right now. We need to find one. Maybe the guy from Germany we're bringing in, maybe a super draft player, maybe somebody else. But we're going to play young players at the defense and let them grow and mature and become better defenders. And that's the way I normally like to play, so we're going to see if that happens. I mean, Glad, he's one of the hot prospects in MLS. He's 22 years old now. He has to play. It's now or never. If he doesn't play now, it's not going to happen for him. So we got to throw him in the lineup. He's a 3-star player. That's good enough. Richards is only 19. We could throw him out on loan again, let him improve some more, and bring him back at 20 years old. You know, maybe bring in a veteran at this position. So not completely sold on Richards or not this year. We'll see how he does. And Nuhu, is kind of in the same position as Glad. He's 22 years old now. He's a hot prospect. He needs to play. He's got 4-star potential. He's good enough to play, so let's put him in there and see if he improves and see what we get from Nuhu. Other than that, we're pretty much set the rest of the positions as long as people stay healthy. Akechi, pretty much moved him into the midfield now. Delgado, you know, he's a solid choice here. We could improve this position as well. You know, if we get a new big time player to come in, a new designated player, this could be the spot for him. We'll see. I mean, we still have Michael Barrios on the right-hand side, 28 years old, injury prone. He's replaceable too if we get a really good player. You know, we also have Sonora sitting there right now as a reserve. He's 23 years old. We might have to play him as well, although he's almost reached his full potential. He's only got a half-star of potential left. So at this point, it's not a necessity to play this guy like it is some of the other guys. Yeah, so that's pretty much the roster and pretty much what we're doing. So now it is currently December 24th. I'm going to pause it here, go forward a few days and or a week and get to the youth intake, and then we might stop there after the youth intake. So, pause. Okay, we're back a little early. We've had some interesting emails here. The Generation Adidas players and the Super Draft players have been announced. December 25th. Here we are. 68 players have been selected for the MLS Super Draft, which I have a problem with that number. And 58 of these players will take place in the MLS Draft Combine, which starts January 10th. So normally in these, when you get this email, you click this button, Scout for 2 matches, and you scout the players for 2 matches, and it's not very good. In FM19, it's even worse than usual. So I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to hit that button. I'm going to scout them a different way. But before we get to that, let's talk about this number up here. 68 players. That's not enough players. That's far too few players. There should be at least 150 to 200 players in the MLS Super Draft, because let's think about this. Okay, there's 24 teams in the league. Each team gets 4 draft picks. That's 96 players. You tell me there's more picks than players? That's not right. That's not right at all. So I went to scouting, and I looked at a list of players here. Declared for MLS Super Draft equals yes. And I went through, and I looked at them, and there's about 96 players here on this list. So that's still not enough. I mean, that's exactly the number that you need of picks, but I don't know. So we've started scouting them. We've got a few of these guys scouted already. Several of them are on amateur contracts. Maybe that's why they weren't in the list of the 68, because they're currently amateurs, and we've already, I don't know. I'm not going to try to figure out the logic, but what I am going to do is I'm going to start scouting these guys now. There's some Generation Adidas players, because it's very important to our current predicament, right? Where we got this whole thing where we're like, hey, why does this guy have a bid? Why do these guys have bids? Carolina Dynamo. I don't know. You know, our current strategy is to draft a bunch of players from here. So if this is not a good draft, if this is a bad draft, I want to know about it early so I can trade out of it early. You know, we have the top 2 of the top 3 picks. We need to know now if that's going to be worth it, or should we trade that value down the road and get some picks in later drafts, or get some allocation money, change up our plans. So that's going to start now. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start scouting these guys from here instead of clicking that button, and see what we can find out about these guys before the combine starts, rather than waiting for the combine, which doesn't start for another like 3 weeks. So we're going to do that. I'm going to pause it here and then come back. Okay, we're back. We just got a slew of new emails coming in. So first off, Cincinnati has released some personnel. Kerry Shelton has officially left Cincinnati as his contract came to an end. Been released by Cincinnati and is now available on free transfer. I mean, we already replaced him. He was an interesting player, but he just wasn't my kind of guy in terms of striker. I like strikers who score necessarily, more than strikers who do other things. So I need guys who put the biscuit in the basket. On the coaching front, we released several team members. Nick Downing, Omar Cumming, Dean Thorne have been released as their contracts have come to an end. Now, to that end, we got a few guys coming in. Neil Redfern on a free transfer. Another guy you might be familiar with. Coach from Newcastle. Leeds as well. Pretty good. I was looking for coaches that had determination as sort of their starting point, high determination, and then other stuff on top of that, because I feel like our team was like losing determination throughout the year, and I think it could have been due to some of our other players on the team, some of our tutoring and mentoring. But I think it was also had to do with our coaches. We had a lot of coaches with low determination. So I wanted to up the determination on the staff and see if that helps out. He's also got a lot of working with youngsters, a little bit of technical, a little bit of attacking. He's okay. Then Luis Fernandez Marias, 52-year-old Brazilian, head of youth development. Look at this guy. He's a monster. Holy cow. He should just be the coach of this team. I mean, forget about me and everybody else on the staff. This guy is really good. So I'm hoping that this guy, 20 working with youngsters, 20 judging potential. This is like one of the best coaches I've ever hired, ever, in Football Manager. So if this guy can start bringing in youth prospects for us, maybe we'll start to have some pretty amazing, amazing intakes. So that would be very cool if he agrees to a contract. Hasn't agreed yet. We'll see. None of these guys have agreed yet. Robert Duverne, 52-year-old from France. Last coached at NYCFC. Before that, Montreal. 17 fitness. He's a fitness coach. Again, he's got some determination, some discipline, so he's okay. And then Tony Henry, 62 years old. Going to come in as a scout. 62-year-old scout. I don't know about that. We're not going to ask him to go too far. But he's got 14 judging ability and potential, 15 adaptability. So he's adaptable, even at 62 years old. Coming over from West Ham and Sunderland and Everton. So he'd made the rounds over there in England. And, we'll see what he can do for us. Meanwhile, we also sold off Kim Ki-hee finally to China, Guangzhou. Going for $1.5 million. I tried to get more than that, but that's pretty much all I could get for him. And the board only gave us 70% of that, so our transfer budget isn't that good right now, finance-wise. Transfer budget is $1.7 million, so I thought maybe we'd have more than that or get more than that, but that's all we got right now, so it's not so good. However, we did get some more inbox emails here. Let's get back to that. The American Soccer Gazette has done their league-wide review, and I got an achievement for overachiever because they gave us their award for the biggest overachievers. The season to remember for FC Cincinnati, results like the 3-1 triumph against Chicago. Sure. Why not? And again, highest average rated player. Look at that. Our new guy, Casper, over there. The board has said they're going to make some improvements, such as some improved staff salary. It would have been nice to have that while I was trying to sign those other 3 guys, but we'll give them a raise next year, I guess. Our fixtures have been released, so the clock has turned. It is January 1st. So we got our new league schedule. That's fine and dandy. Our first 5 games: FC Dallas, New York, Colorado, Vancouver, Minnesota. 2 home games, then 3 away games. It's going to be a little bit of a rough start, but not too bad. Let's see. DeVries is off the injured list. Kim Ki-hee is off the injured list, and now he's gone. Targeted allocation money increased to 1.2 million. I feel like we already had 1.2 million. But now they're just kind of making it official, I guess. Extra 2020 designated player slot, so we still have that available. Mock draft of the Super Draft. They're predicting us to take John Blackman and Juan Pablo Marquez. Blackman is a striker. Don't know about this guy. And then Juan Pablo is a left back. 16 jumping reach is nice. 6'2". 8 marking, 6 heading. Get out of here. You don't know nothing. We have received our 3.6 million in TV rights. That's good. Social feed, who cares? I always reject everything. I hate the social feed. And then finally, Youth Intake Day. FC Cincinnati announced a new youth intake. Here we go. Every reason to be excited for Jefferson Gonzalez. Potentially be one of the most gifted players to come through the youth ranks in recent years. No golden generation or anything like that. So let's take a look at these guys and see what they're all about. Hello? Academy? What happened to all our 17-year-olds? Did they leave when we got rid of our head of youth development? Is that how it works? What happened? I mean, those guys weren't great, but they were ours. Where'd they go? I've never seen that before. I've never seen that happen before, where our academy just disappeared. All right, so we're starting all over with our academy. We got Jefferson Gonzalez, 16 years old. He's pretty good. Pretty good. Decent speed and agility. Not so much strength, jumping reach, not necessary for a midfielder. Good work rate and decent vision. Good decisions for a 16-year-old. First touch, passing, techniques. Yeah, for 16, this guy's pretty good. Mert Gökbil. Yes, indeed. Turkish. 15 handling. Oh, only 9 reflexes. No, I don't know about this guy. The rest of the guys, 1 stars. Not even worth looking at those guys. But our academy has disappeared. So there was a riot. And I guess when we changed head of youth development, he took all the players with him. That's the story that we're going to use, and I'm sticking to it. So that's pretty wild. Pretty wild. In terms of scouting, we've been trying to scout players in the Super Draft, and we're slowly getting there. We're slowly adding a few players here and there to our number of scouted guys, but it's slow going. We still got a bunch that we haven't done yet. We got one prospect out here, Gutierrez, left midfielder / wingback, Generation Adidas. Not really my type of dude. I mean, he's okay, but I'm not gonna change to a 4-4-2 for this guy. So he's gonna have to sit out. So far, not seeing a ton of great prospects, so it's not looking good. But we're gonna continue scouting and see how it goes. And there's another Lansing United guy up there. Hembut, 21-year-old from Thailand. He's not bad. Anyway, we're going to keep scouting these guys, keep looking at them, and then we're going to come back for the Super Draft Spectacular. You know, we still have a few transfers in the works. We got some things cooking. We'll see what happens, but that's going to be it for now. I'm going to try to keep this video under 2 hours. Until next time, we'll see you later. Bye-bye.